Hello guys, this is your brother Mwanamoto. Like, share, subscribe to our YouTube channel and leave a comment in French. Abonnez-vous, aimez notre chaîne YouTube et partagez.
Welcome again to the world citizen. Today I'm with my brother Ivan and we're gonna present something very special. We're gonna talk about a subject that is quite controversial in India.
Okay.
But let's talk about it because it's a part of Indian culture. We're gonna talk about Indian women in the Indian society. I don't think I'm the right person to talk about that. That's why we have decided with the whole team to go and meet someone very special, which is a great woman. So guys, she's a journalist.
She's an independent filmmaker.
She's a documentary.
She's a writer.
And she's engaged against gender discrimination since 15 years now. And let me introduce to you Padma. Yeah, let's go. Padma, thank you for having us here in this beautiful place.
Thank you for having this conversation.
So, I was ready to be struggling in my introduction to introduce you. Fortunately, you are there and you can introduce yourself and talk a little bit about you.
Okay. I've worn many hats in the past 15 years. I'm one of those people who didn't find a single calling in their career. I tried very many things.
Okay.
So I've worn many hats, and currently I call myself an artist and I'm a therapist.
Wow.
So I work with film, I work with photography, and I also work in the field of mental health.
Okay.
So that's where I am in terms of what I do currently.
Padma, can you tell me, growing up as an Indian girl, what was your difficulties, or how were you growing up as an Indian girl?
I'm an Indian woman.
As an Indian girl, I thought the possibility was endless.
Oh.
Right? I grew up at a time when we had a first Indian Prime Minister who was a female. Indira Gandhi was the Prime Minister. So it was an aspiration for all of us to become Indira Gandhi. So it was like the possibilities were endless. The top most post in the country was a woman. That's the optimism I grew up with. But as I grew up, I realized it's not easy because the complications of gender, caste, class, everything comes in the way of what we want to do. And I realized that, by the time I was 17, 18, that I may not become the Indira Gandhi of the country because it's so much harder to just do everyday things.
Is there anything special that you want to talk about that's put away your focus of being like Indira Gandhi? Is there any events happened?
I grew up in a lower middle class family, which meant that we were just one step above being poor. Right? Like we didn't have to. We had a roof on our heads. We had food. I was going to a decent school. We didn't have every day. Like we didn't struggle every day. We knew we will get food and shelter. But anything more than that was an ambition. Right? I grew up with. My father was not working, and my mother was a single working parent, and she was a teacher, and teachers don't get paid well across the world. So we were struggling to make ends meet in that sense. And when I got to college, where I was going to go to do graduation, my mom couldn't afford college fees, so I had to drop out of college. And then I was working, and then I decided I wanted to continue studying, so I was doing it through correspondence, long distance studying. So it took me a long route to get to where I wanted to get. If everything was fine, I didn't have all these, challenges, I would have been a therapist or an artist or whatever I wanted to be like 15 years ago. But it's taken me that much extra time to get to where I want to. A lot of people might say gender doesn't play a role in it, but it does.
That was my
Question: how you feel the need to start to work for gender, like against gender discrimination? Where that feeling came from, or that need?
I didn't know it at the time. Like growing up, I didn't know I was going to be this person, right? I mean, I knew I wanted to do something with journalism at that point of time, but I didn't know anything. I mean, I didn't have any examples in my immediate family, for example, who were journalists or anything like that, right? And there was this one journalist on Doordarshan, that's a government-owned television here. I don't know if you know about DD. Yeah, it's you're all in the cable TV era now. So back then we had only one channel, which was the Doordarshan, and we had this one journalist who's now working for another media house, Maya Sharma. She was the woman journalist, first one who was on the scene reporting. I think I was probably like 15, 17, 18 maybe, and I realized, oh, that's a possibility. Like I'd never considered that as a possibility, but that was just one example that I saw. But I come from a long line of working women. Right, my grandmother was a nurse. My mom's mom.
Okay, your mom's mom.
My mom's mom was a nurse. My mom was a teacher, and my aunt, her younger sister, one of the younger sisters, is a teacher. So I come from a long line of working women. So working was not a new thing.
Okay.
Right, but
like an habit.
Aiming for something bigger than teacher was. I remember when I finished my graduation, I went back home to my aunt's house, and my uncle asked, like somebody had come to visit us because we live in Bangalore and that's a village, so people get excited about city people going there, right?
Yeah.
So we would go there, and she asked me, what are you doing? And I'd started working for a private company after my graduation, before journalism, because I didn't have the money to go to journalism college. So I was saving up by working for a corporate setup. So she asked me, she said, oh my God, you're working for a private company, not even a teacher.
It was something huge at that time.
Yeah.
Wow.
And look at your mom, she's a teacher and she's got a steady job. Why would you work for a private company? So now the tables have turned, right? Like now everybody wants to be in the private sector because the money is so good. But back when I started, it was like, why are you doing this? At least become a nurse, you know, at least that sort of thing. So, and generally I realized that expectation wasn't much from me because I'm a girl.
So last time you told me off camera, like on the phone, that it's been 15 years now. You have been working into gender. So in 15 years, what do you think an Indian girl is facing inside this big society? Is it difficult for an Indian girl to succeed? Is it more difficult for her to succeed than for an Indian man? Or it is equal?
This is a very controversial thing I'm going to say.
Yeah.
It's not equal at all. The opportunities are not equal for a man and a woman.
But I've seen so many ministers
Look at the percentage, right? Look at the Karnataka cabinet, for example. We have a BJP government, majority government. How many women ministers?
What makes it difficult? Is it the society itself, or?
We are very, the 33% reservation bill that we've been trying to pass for, I think, over a decade, officially. Before that, they've been pushing for it, I think more than that actually, hasn't happened. For several successive governments, it hasn't happened. Yes, lot more women are coming out to work. You see a lot more women than I saw even 10 years ago on the streets of Bangalore or in the companies or in the spaces that I go to. But what we need to look at is are they in the positions of decision making, leadership? Hardly. Yeah.
So for you, things are changing, but not enough.
Not enough, and it's not uniformly across. There is a rural-urban divide also. And today I'm especially in a very low point emotionally because of this. I don't know if you read about it, the rape and murder of this Dalit woman in UP. It's horrifying that it can happen today in 2020 while I am having this conversation with you, right? You and I are not related, we are from different countries, but we can have this conversation. You can treat me with respect, but at the same time she lost her life. So this diverse India that we talk about, that is something that really makes it difficult for me to think that things are changing.
Yeah, I'm really sorry for
Thank
that
you.
event. And I have a special question, especially for you, because you keep working, you keep hoping that tomorrow will be better. But while you see situations like this one you have talked about, what gives you the courage to move forward and tomorrow to stand up again to fight for women?
Yeah. Sometimes I don't know. Sometimes, but what other option is there, right? The other option is to give in to this and say, I'm done. I won't get out of the house. I'll just take care of my husband, my child, cook, clean, and that's it. And hopefully die a peaceful death in 20 years, 30 years. But that's not an option. And it's not an option for Manisha Valmiki. She'll never see the future she could have had. So it just becomes important that we do what we have to do and what we can do every day. It is frustrating.
Yeah.
It's really difficult. Last 3 days I've been talking to many women friends of mine, and we're all feeling really low, right? But we are all having that same question that you're asking. How do we keep going? And we have to keep going, otherwise I have a daughter. What's her future? I don't want her to have the same conversation 20 years down the lane, right? And in some ways it hasn't changed. The conversations my mom had, I still have. But I'm hoping it doesn't happen with our children.
So
It's a universal, unfortunately it's a universal experience, right? From what little I know of Africa and the countries and the women, the societies there, it is a common experience there. It might be little different here and there, but it is a common experience. This lack of voice that you're talking about is a common experience.
So in 15 years of your fight, did you have like happy moments that you can share with us? One or two instances where you were very happy and very encouraging for your fight?
Many moments, thankfully. Yeah. Otherwise, I don't think we can hold on to this to keep going every day. Personally speaking, there have been moments where what's coming to me is the community of women helping women, right? If I talk about the experience here in running Katte, it's a fairly new space. It's about a year and a half now. But it so happens that most of the people who are using the space are women. And they come with an energy of wanting to create something and create something without an agenda. And have this sharing space. It's very, I can reach out. These are women I've known only for the last year and a half or so, but I can reach out today and say, okay, listen, I'm having trouble. Can we step in and do something? Or somebody else is having a trouble. Do you know somebody who can help them? So that sisterhood is something that I'm cherishing. And that is something that I've seen often in the last few years, increasingly. And I think that's needed to keep going forward also, because we don't have, I keep talking about it in my other work also, about building a social capital, right? You boys will hang out together, right? And it's easier to hang out together, but girls find it harder to hang out because either they're not allowed to go out, after a certain time. They can hang out during college, but not after. So there are a lot of these restrictions placed on girls. So it's difficult to build this kind of system that comes together to help each other out. So that's something that I'm seeing increasingly, very consciously, women and girls are doing that. That I think is quite incredible, and women supporting women is much more visible now than it was a few years ago.
So any special goal for the next year, for 2021? What do you want to see yourself and your family?
2021, I just want Corona to be over. Because all the 2020 goals are just not met. Right? I'm hoping that we can continue the work of building the community, supporting each other, and continuing to have these conversations across. I mean, the communities are not just people like me who are urban and of a certain class, but also from a different community, from different caste and class and geographical locations. So we can build, if not in real time, like we don't know if that's going to happen, but at least virtually we can build those spaces. That's something that I'm hoping to build in a small way. I know it sounds grand, but it's just small things that I'm trying to do.
Do you have any platform on social media or any platform where people can reach out to you, so that because this will be on YouTube?
Yeah.
And maybe they will ask where they can reach out to you.
Sure. I have an Instagram account. I'm terrible at social media, but I'm trying to learn it and be better at it. So Padma at Nanasu. Nanasu is the company.
Okay.
So Padma at Nanasu is the handle.
Okay.
NANASU.
Okay, anyway, we will leave everything in the description, so that if you want to reach out to Padma, you can just go to her Instagram page, and I hope she will be responding to you.
I hope I can.
Message for the women in general, but especially for Indian women who are struggling, maybe who are going through some, what can I say, some kind of gender discrimination.
I mean, it sounds like I'm this lofty person who has some gyan to give. But since you asked the question, and I think what I want to hear right now is something that is what I'm going to share. That it feels difficult. It is difficult, but don't give up. Find your sisterhood. Find your community. And when I say sisterhood, no, I don't just, I mean sisterhood, yes, community building with the women, but reach across the gender divides. It's not, things are not difficult because you didn't do something right. It's because the system is messed up. So what we need to do is find a way to change the system and stick together. That's what I would say.
Wow. Thank you so much, Padma. Thank you again. I want to thank someone special as well who made this meeting happen. Yeah. I want to thank Anisha. Anisha, thank you so much. Thank you.
Thanks, Anisha.
Thank you so much, and see you for the next video. Thank you, Padma.
Thank you, Demi. It's
Yeah.
a pleasure.